Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. It's great to see everyone here. Hope reInvent is going really well for all of you. The silent session format is a little bit interesting, but we're not able to take questions from the audience, but we will be around at the end. So definitely stick around, and we'll have a great discussion here today. I'm Andrew Keating with LogicMonitor. I lead product marketing there. I'm joined by two incredible panelists, and my goal is to actually talk as little as possible and get these guys to be talking, because they and their organizations are really leaders in this AI era that we're in. And so we've got some questions and some great conversation teed up for you all. But really our goal here is to really unpack Agentic AIOps and discuss, how LogicMonitor partners with organizations like Worldwide Technology and NTT Data, and really hear from leaders in this space who are, paving the way for this kind of AI era that we're in today. So I'm joined by Abi Lakhani from NTT Data. He's the VP of Go-to-Market for Cloud and Security in Americas, and Mike Servasio, who's the Global Practice Manager for AIOps at Worldwide Technology. So we are going to talk a little bit about some roadmap items on the LogicMonitor side. If that comes up, the usual disclaimers apply. I think everybody's familiar with, forward-looking statements and all that. So our agenda today, I'm going to talk again as briefly as possible to give you a little bit of an orientation on LogicMonitor and our point of view around Agentic AIOps. We're going to talk about Agentic AI and its possibilities and observability. And then, we're going to spend most of the time with a discussion with these leaders and talking about kind of how they see the future unfolding, the path to autonomous IT that really every organization is on these days. We will have, like I said, plenty of time for questions at the end, so feel free to grab us as the session wraps up. We'll also have the opportunity to continue the conversation at the LogicMonitor booth, at the Worldwide Technology booth, so plenty of opportunity for you all to get engaged. Again, I'm Andrew. I lead product marketing at LogicMonitor, joined by Abi and Mike. So about LogicMonitor, in case you're not familiar with us, we've been around since 2007. We're a fully SaaS native platform hosted on AWS. We have over 100,000 software users on our platform. We're monitoring over 5 million devices a day and collecting around 1.5 trillion metrics. We have a bit of over 1,000 employees globally. We're placed in the Gartner Magic Quadrant as a challenger. We've received a number of customer awards and accolades. We're really positioning ourselves as a customer-friendly option for AI-first observability. We had some exciting news yesterday, and I encourage you all to look up the announcement and the press release. We have acquired Catchpoint. And Catchpoint is a leader in digital experience monitoring, internet performance monitoring. They have over 3,000 points of presence globally to monitor internet performance. And so bringing them together with LogicMonitor and our strengths in infrastructure monitoring and observability across hybrid environments, together with Catchpoint's strengths in IPM and DEM, really gives us the most comprehensive observability platform to show the full experience from user to code. So we announced this yesterday, but we do have Catchpoint team members at our booth, so they're able to give a demo of their platform. It's really day one for us, actually day two, but every day is day one in the Amazon frame of reference. So we're super excited to bring the platform together to create this comprehensive observability platform. The comprehensive data set will be incredible for AIOps and Agentic AI, and we're going to talk more about that throughout the course of the session today.
Can I just add one thing?
Please, yeah.
So this is important with all the internet outages we've seen recently. Unfortunately, three-letter acronym today that we hear, Azure, Cloudflare. These are going to continue to happen, mostly due to changes and other things, but you need something to monitor, give you the health status of things you rely on but don't necessarily own. Get to understand where the fault domain is.
Yeah, it's a great point, Mike. And one thing about Catchpoint, for those of you who follow the space, I mean, they've been monitoring internet performance for quite some time. They actually had about 15 minutes they detected the most recent AWS outage a month or so ago. They detected it 15 minutes prior to anything being reported from AWS because they have their own global network that sits outside the hyperscalers, and that's really crucial when we're doing so much of everything on AWS and actually other hyperscalers as well. But
Sure.
to be able to sort of understand internet performance when so much is in the cloud is really critical. So, a few trends that we see, and then we'll get to the questions and discussion some more. Observability and Gen AI and Agentic AI are really converging. This is giving IT teams not only the visibility that observability provides, but the context, the automated intelligence, and it's really crucial to bring together that telemetry data, the contextual knowledge in the ITSM, in the knowledge base, and also now bring in things like internet performance data, digital experience, synthetics. Bringing all of that together provides this really rich data set for AI. And with the rise of agentic AI for IT ops, IT ops is really one of the best use cases for letting loose AI agents, right? And having an agent that performs a lot of the functions that, in the past, a human might have to go and do. And you can orchestrate agents to do things like check the database performance, check the network performance, look at what's going on in the ITSM. And so there's really this rise of agentic AI for IT ops. And this also leads to the shift from just being concerned about visibility and understanding like what is going on in the environment to actually being able to take action and ideally to be proactive and to prevent incidents before they would even happen or impact end users or the business. We see a few kind of value drivers for agentic AI ops, and these are pretty classic, aligning to the business. First and foremost, improving operational efficiency. So there's a world in which you can't throw enough human IT operations people at the problem. You have to actually incorporate and orchestrate AI agents alongside humans in IT ops in order to achieve efficiency gains. It's also about kind of reducing costs, right? And for some organizations, that may mean shifting roles. That may mean taking, fewer L1s, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I'd love to hear you guys' perspectives on that. Boosting the productivity of the L1s and others in IT operations, and ultimately ensuring that the business is performing. And really, uptime, MTTR, keeping services running, that's all in service of our business goals, whatever industry, whatever organization you're in. It's really about turning IT efficiency into measurable business growth. So that's enough talking from me. I want to turn to you guys. And first and foremost, LogicMonitor has strong partnerships with both your organizations, with many other organizations. I could talk about what we're doing, but I would rather hear from both of you around how we're working together. And so Mike, maybe we'll start with you, and then Abhi would love to hear kind of your perspective as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, LogicMonitor, with the introduction of Edwin AI, has really set themselves apart. And now the addition of Catchpoint is getting stronger. So, number one, I look for industry leaders, thought leaders. But what helps build the partnership is the relationship piece. Nothing to do with technology and your partner program and how you work together to solve customer needs and requirements. And then also, for me personally, leveraging LogicMonitor and Edwin AI in our Advanced Technology Center and our AI Proving Ground, where we have customers test out their AI use cases before they de-risk it and accelerate innovation. So LogicMonitor is one of our tier one go-to-market partners to do that. And knowing people like Andrew was, that was the deal that sold it.
Yeah. So for us, look, we're making a name for ourselves as one of the only full stack transformation companies in the world. And what that means is anytime we are sitting down with customers and talking full stack transformation, full stack observability is table stakes. And we've seen a lot of success with LogicMonitor in a lot of industries, whether it's product, manufacturing, now starting to get into SLED, where we're seeing a lot of the features that the LogicMonitor stack has enable when you couple that with our MSP model and our our breadth across the different types of infrastructure and cloud environments. We're building co-creating some very compelling solutions which are driving real-time value for our customers. So I think that's a great partnership model that we're looking to continue to expand on and take it across all sectors.
Great. Yeah. And just to underscore the point, I mean, you guys in your organizations, reflect different realms of the partner ecosystem. And so there is the kind of service offerings that you're delivering for your customers, the ability to test in WWT's test environment, and then the practices and services that both of your organizations offer your customers. So it's really multifaceted partnership with both organizations. And then we'll talk about the AWS angle as well, because we're all partnering with AWS also. Great. And I think partnership is really key, and the industry has been talking about monitoring to observability in this journey from reactive to proactive for quite some time. Like, that's not a new story, but I think what has been changing and what's been evolving, AIOps has been around for about a decade as a concept, and it started with, machine learning. It started with, deterministic kind of models and, having to kind of train the system to have it learn a lot. And now, it's evolved into this agentic state, which is very exciting. We see this as a really significant tipping point for the industry, and it's something that is happening because of partnerships like, LogicMonitor with NTT, with Worldwide Technology, with the other partners that we have. This is really the thing that is propelling the industry forward, that ultimately benefits you and your organizations as you're thinking about what autonomous IT is going to look like in your organizations. You've got a technology provider like LogicMonitor. We're spending our days thinking about that, and then we've got partner organizations like this that are laser focused on it as well.
Yeah, and I love the term. It's no longer optional; it's mandatory.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, observability and autonomous IT operations, it's not table stakes, but it's a differentiator to set yourself apart from excelling.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, if we'd had this conversation a year ago, we might have had a different time horizon. But the urgency, the sense of how fast things are changing, really doesn't make it optional these days. We've talked a little bit about how we work together. I would love to double click on this a little bit more to talk about what the value is for customers and end clients. And Avi, maybe to start with you around that, NTT and LogicMonitor have been working together for several years. What do you see as the ways that we're working together to drive value for your clients and for your customers?
Yeah, I think there's a few aspects to it, right? I think right off the bat, the way we deliver managed services has fundamentally changed with partnerships like we have with LogicMonitor, right? I was having a conversation with a customer a couple of days ago, and they didn't want to talk the traditional L1 through L3 support model. They were pushing us on why we even need an L1. Mm-hmm. Like, why can't I have agents deployed who can proactively track events, correlate them, bring in closed-loop automation for resolution, do real-time RCA. Mm-hmm. And those are questions that, up until 6 months ago, were not part of our core solutioning platforms. They were nice to have. Now we are forced to think along those lines because of the recent successes we have seen when LogicMonitor and NTT have gone to customers and put these kind of FSO solutions out there. So I think right off the bat, that the way we are going to market has changed. The second thing I want to highlight is the flexibility in how we are approaching customers. Traditionally, as a managed services provider, you're doing fixed cost, fixed bid type of solutions, which are driven by SLAs. Now we have outcome-based solutions or outcome-based models, go-to-market models that we can put in front of customers. We have as-a-service options, whether it's just consuming an observability stack. We have flexibility in control of the infrastructure and the observability suites for customers. I'll give you a very quick example, and then I'll love to hear what Mike has to say. We are working with a company that's building a gigafactory outside of Memphis, Tennessee, and they wanted to have us come in and stand up their entire infrastructure, including their NOC and SOC. For the SOC, they wanted us to deploy it, and they would manage it. For the NOC, they wanted us to build, run, transform continuously. Partners like LogicMonitor, we have that flexibility where we could, even within that space, give them two very different models. And that's what customers are looking for. They're looking for flexibility in how they consume services from MSPs. They're very cost conscious. So that's something that I'm seeing as a great add-on with our partnership with you guys.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic example. And I suspect, given NTT is very familiar with scale. You guys have been operating at global scale, gigafactories, mega gigafactories. Scale is not, not a new thing for NTT, but I imagine that there's pressures around speed of deployment. So, I won't put you on the spot to mention how fast they wanted that all deployed, but I suspect that the speed element comes into play as well.
It does, and to be very honest, it makes us uncomfortable. It does, because we're that giant who's learning to run fast now.
Yeah.
And we need partners who bring in those capabilities off the bat instead of us investing time in building set capabilities.
Yeah.
That's where these partnerships become invaluable for us, because you guys are helping us get to that speed that traditionally was foreign to us.
Yep, and combining the speed and scale
Yes,
is its own challenge. Well, Mike, from the reseller perspective and that partner perspective, you mentioned a little bit about the test bed environment and allowing kind of customers to come in and actually test the technology before deploying it. But what are some of the other ways? I'd love to have you talk more about that, and also other ways that Worldwide Tech and LogicMonitor are partnering together.
Yeah, sure. Good stuff, thank you. Yeah, so for us, we're getting a lot of demand for tactical tool replacements. That's fine. But what I like even better is more of a top-down strategic approach. Like, how do we build our next generation NOC, our next generation SOC, our next generation enterprise command center, or as my alma mater calls it now, mission control? And how do we take back, if we've over-rotated to multiple MSPs, how do we measure using SLOs and change management risk and leveraging AI? How do we have that agentic L1 response where, when it may not necessarily be replacing headcount, but at least reducing and freeing up those resources to work on more strategic, transformational things? I think that's what Edwin AI could do when we've seen it. It's real. The agentic L1 response, it's not a myth. And like for NTT, it could help streamline your operations and add more value-added services. For us, it's showing a proof of a multi-OEM environment, which every customer is in. How do you integrate that and leverage event-driven automation, and now the next generation of that, autonomous IT automation, and getting to those insights through the tsunami of noise, alerts, events, and get to a correlation. And we have a reference architecture, a methodology that we like. When we go in, you probably don't want to hear this, but when we go into a customer, we want to maximize and leverage what they've already invested in. And we'll uncover blind spots and redundancies, but we've got opinions based on what we kick the tires on every day in our Advanced Technology Center. And we'll give our opinion on not just LogicMonitor and its capabilities, but the Edwin AI capability and how that's changing the game. And now with Catchpoint, that'll be a great new path for us.
I was just thinking, and we don't have to commit to it here, but I think getting Catchpoint into the mix as well is going to make it even more compelling.
Yeah, because to me, where the rubber meets the road is that user experience.
Yeah.
Digital user experience. Thank you. Digital user experience. That's your business health.
Yeah.
Like for American Express, when I was there, it was measuring the card member journeys, mapping that, instrumenting that from stem to stern across multiple hosting domains, mainframe, across the gamut. That's the true health, not, hey, my network's up, my applications are up, but my customers are still having issues.
Yeah,
And I think with this being plugged in.
and synthetics, being
Yeah,
able to run those tests as well. So, we've been talking, we just jumped right in and we started talking about Agentic AIOps. Mike, you've mentioned, Edwin AI is our Agentic AIOps product. AIOps as a concept is a decade or so old concept. Everybody's talking about AI. So I think, to take a step back, maybe, what do you guys see as making Agentic AIOps so different from kind of just traditional AI or machine learning models, or even just, kind of good old, if this happens, then do some action, right? Would love to get your perspectives on this. And Mike, maybe we'll start with you. What do you see as fundamentally different with Agentic AIOps?
It's the ability to take multiple actions. So machine learning's been around forever. Pattern matching, event correlation, that's been around for a while. But this autonomous way to, still using LLMs with RAG as the brain, but now using Agentic AI to, make recommendations in seconds, analyze what changed, checking the change management database, knowledge articles, product manuals, even conversational unstructured data in your Slack channels, and bringing that to the forefront of that strategic, resource, the SRE person, that would normally take tens of minutes, if not hours, and do that in seconds. Everyone has dashboards, but there's probably each organizational unit has their own persona-based dashboard. How do you quickly interpret those in seconds? That's Agentic AI.
Yeah, that's great. And Abhi, would love your perspectives. We talked about kind of speed and scale, and what are you seeing, and what is your team seeing around the differences with Agentic AIOps?
Yeah, so I think for us it's twofold, right? One is the core design principle behind any Agentic AI ecosystem is the modularity and the unit-based elementary design principles, right? So that's where I think that Agentic AI differentiates itself from traditional AI, because when you have autonomous independent agents working in a closed loop collaborative AI system, you're making decisions at speed, you're learning from continuous feedback loops, and you're continuously improving not just the service that said agents are providing, but the infrastructure and the environment health that continues to improve because of the actions these agents take, right? So that flexibility and those marginal benefits, when you start scaling those, that's where real value is driven, right? I think that's one thing that's big for us. The second thing is you're seeing a lot of, we talk a lot about speed, but it's the intelligence combined with that speed which is driving these values for customers. Some of my customers are not looking at SLAs anymore. They are looking at environment improvements. They're asking us to track patterns and trends in their infrastructure usage and correlate those with some of their business events, some business trigger events. Agentic AI is the answer, or is the path to measuring those kind of outcomes.
That's really great, and I think we're only beginning at that. So it's like, if we project forward, it's going to be kind of mind-boggling. That initial shift that you described from an SLA into actually being more proactive, into improving the environment. Imagine what we'll be saying in a year or two from now, when more and more of your customers have implemented that.
Yep, absolutely.
And so, Abhi, let's stick with you and talk. You've mentioned a little bit already around the shifts in the MSP model. I was especially interested in what you shared about your clients actually asking for, AI agents in place of L1s potentially, or your clients kind of thinking through that. But I'd love you to say more about the changes that you're seeing in in the MSP model as a result of AIOps and Agentic AI?
Look, like I said, right? I mean, it's there's the traditional levers where your Agentic AI ops is helping us reduce the cost to serve, right? And that's in today's market in the MSP space, that's becoming a core function of what we take to our customers, right? With most customers ask for 40, 45, 50% productivity over a 3-year term. You don't do that through the traditional levers of sourcing and pyramid adjustments, right? You've got to find ways to reduce the environment that you're serving in order to get there. So AI ops gets you that, right? The second thing is some of the predictive and proactive monitoring helps you prevent incidents before they become incidents, right? And that's something that most customers have come to expect from us, right? So those are a couple of things. And then the third thing is, with real-time RCAs, with closed-loop automation around elimination at source for some of the root causes, that's helping you reduce the environment that you are serving, which in turn is driving value not just for our customers but for us internally as well. As an MSP, there's only a limited set of delivery headcount that any organization can maintain while being cost effective, right? So we have got to make sure our resources are seconded to projects while keeping in mind that we have a large customer base to serve. And that's where the technology of AI ops is coming and helping us. So.
Yeah, that's great. And Mike, I wonder, you're working with MSPs and end clients. Like, what's your take on this? Are you hearing kind of similar things?
Yeah, it's definitely like for the telcos where the network is their business, and also for financial services, obviously. We're seeing a push to help them create an agentic network assistant, kind of that would be the overall brains, the orchestrator, but then plugging into the Agentic AI loop, where you've got something like Edwin AI that it's going to pull, and then also your agent can talk to the Dynatrace Davis AI agent, talk to the new Datadog Bits AI agent, and bring that in to context if you need that application deep visibility to find out what's going on. Is it something in your code? And then obviously with Catchpoint, being able to determine is it something out in the internet that's outside your firewalls. So yeah, we're definitely seeing the MSPs, the telcos, the GSPs as leading the way to help them get ahead of the curve and stop being blamed. That mean time to innocence, being able to be proactive, if not very prescriptive and predictive for service disruptions, and get ahead of that instead of that react. And some of it's people, process skills, culture, but it's also technology. And it's really starting, looking at that whole gamut, and it's, observability and AIOps is a team sport. Needs to be end to end.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I also see it as, you mentioned some of the agent to agent and sort of MCP type infrastructure. That is definitely an emerging area that we're investing in, and you're going to see a lot more from us in that sense, in terms of being able to enable, Edwin to talk to other agents, whether it's ServiceNow or some other set of agents. And then I think, picking up on what you said as well, I also see a convergence of the needs that, end customers have, as well as, the MSP dynamics. And so, these are worlds that in a sense are converging, and it's similar sets of concerns. And even if you're at an IT organization, at an enterprise, you can learn some things from the way MSPs are operating. You may be working with MSPs. And so all of these elements kind of are coming together and converging. And, of course, we're here at reInvent. We're all in the AWS Partner ecosystem as well. We'll talk about, AWS Marketplace in a few minutes. LogicMonitor as a platform uses AWS as our infrastructure. Would love to hear more about how your organizations are working with AWS and how AWS services come into the mix with everything we're speaking about. And maybe Avi, we'll start with you around what you can share about AWS services, whether that's AI applications or more broadly how you all partner with and work with AWS.
This is a very, very exciting space for us, right? We've been traditionally known to be a large infrastructure company, right? And so when we are talking to customers about their AI initiatives, the first thing that comes to mind is how can a partner like NTT build a scalable, nimble AI foundation and infrastructure. We call it the horsepower, right? But and we bring in some of those compute and storage elements to it, but with technologies such as Bedrock, right? That helps you design those flexible but at the same time cost-effective foundations that customers no longer have to invest capital in, right? So that's a huge area where we're partnering with Amazon around Bedrock and building these foundations. Then you start getting into what we call as your curated AI orchestration layer, right? Where you're building and managing an environment where we're giving them all the plugins they need to connect all their data sources, whether it's their MRPs and their ERP systems, their metadata systems, their factory floor SCADA systems. So all that data ingestion comes to customers as a service instead of them again investing in building these. And then you start thinking about things like SageMaker. That's a great tool set within the Amazon ecosystem that helps us build that kind of capability. And then you start getting into the agent-to-agent collaboration that Mike was talking about, right? Look at things like Amazon Q. That is accelerating. Now, all of this is technology everybody's experimenting with. People are finding challenges around whether it's domain-specific challenges, whether it's security and compliance challenges. But these are the kind of things that are giving us head starts in that from the Amazon ecosystem that is giving us the acceleration that customers are looking for.
Yeah, that's great. Mike, what about you? How's Worldwide Technology working with AWS services in the AI space?
Yeah, sure. So those products that were mentioned, definitely extending those capabilities to the operational models that LogicMonitor and AI could bring. And it's like that agentic loop that I was talking about, but also just from working with Amazon on migrations from on-prem to AWS, being able to give that performance baseline before, during, and after the migration. Because a lot of folks either refactor or lift and throw over the fence their applications that may not be optimal for cloud native. You need to be able to quickly determine that with a tool like LogicMonitor, CloudWatch, and some of the newer tools that we just mentioned. You need to see that full visibility. You need to see behind the curtain as well. Whereas, companies like Catchpoint, Thousand Eyes tell you up to a point, up to the front door of AWS, what's going on. You need to see behind the scenes, what's really going on in your S3 buckets and a lot of these tools for marketplace that a lot of companies are using for data lake analysis. And that correlation.
Yeah, I think that's right. And one of the things we're looking at from the LogicMonitor perspective is the observability and monitoring of the AI workloads themselves. Yes. So I mean, we have multiple dimensions here to think through. So we have observability over all those AWS AI services as well as a number of others in terms of cloud monitoring. I think cost comes into play as well, and like ensuring that you're optimizing for resource allocation, and cost certainly comes into a factor there. So we on the LogicMonitor side of things are thinking about this both as a consumer of AWS services ourselves, facilitating clients and their migrations and their use of AWS services with partners like these, and then also ensuring that IT operations teams that are running these services day in and day out have full visibility into what's happening at the cloud layer, and then now with the addition of Catchpoint, being able to see that at the internet layer, the user layer as well.
Yeah, it's kind of the other side of the same coin, right? You need AI for observability. You also need observability in AI for your AI ecosystems, whether it's in the cloud or on-prem. Like I know AWS announced factories, kind of like almost like an AI pod in your own prem. That should be bundled with the business health capabilities that LogicMonitor and AI bring to manage and understand the workflows. Are the LLMs operating? Are they pulling accurate data? Have the sources changed? Not just GPU monitoring, but the workflows, the LLMs, the agents, and giving you your investment is paying off as you intended.
So we've talked a little bit about this already, but coming back to what we're using, and I'm going to broaden the question a little bit. We were talking about MSPs, but I think it's actually more broadly like enterprises as well as MSPs kind of using AI agents to solve real problems in their organizations and in their operations. And so Mike, maybe you could say a little bit more about what you're seeing there. You mentioned financial services, you mentioned a few industries, but say more about how AI agents are kind of working in production today to solve real problems for organizations.
Yeah, it's kind of that moving. I'm seeing companies moving from having people that are martyrs to working smarter. And that rhymes on purpose, martyr to smart. But anyway,
it should be in marketing.
Anyway, there's a lot of tacit tribal. My wife says tribal knowledge is not PC, correct? But tacit knowledge. These engineers that have CCIEs and been doing it for decades and just have that intrinsic knowledge. How do we capture that? And not just knowledge-based articles, but what do they typically do? What are the 3 or 4 steps these SMEs do to understand the fault domain? Where get the isolation, then get to the root cause. Like I said, look at your last 6 months of incidents. Did this happen before? What was the blast radius? What was the fix? Do that with AI, agentic AI, in seconds versus the tens and tens of minutes, hours it may take for someone to do that manually. And not to replace those SMEs. It's more of a digital colleague, right? You still need a human in the loop. It's just getting them to work smarter versus beyond those long bridge warm calls.
I think every organization is going to think through this, like what is replacement, what is augmentation, and finding that right mix, because even the best subject matter expert in their specific domain doesn't have the domain knowledge of all the other domains, right? So the database guy is calling the network guy, and the network guy is calling the infrastructure guy or whatnot. So putting AI agents into the mix is going to augment even the best subject matter expert in their domain by giving them access to other domain knowledge. Abhi, you've talked a bit about the services that NTT is delivering and your approach to leveraging AI agents. Would love to hear more around how you're using AI agents to solve problems for your clients.
Yes, so for us, one of the things that differentiates us from the rest of the MSPs that we compete with is we have a very tool and platform-driven approach to MSP solutions. So we invest heavily in enhancing our platform capability and bringing all these AI agents. We do a lot of internal IT. The IT that we serve within our organization across the globe, we use AI agents.
Eat your own caviar.
We do. We absolutely do.
It's not dog food, it's caviar, right?
Thank you so much. That's a good choice of words. So we use a lot of we use a lot of agentic AI and LogicMonitor solutions to do event correlation, network noise suppression, trend analysis, anomaly detection, incident triage. We are actually using a lot of that in our internal IT ops, right? I'll give you another example. We are starting to adopt a lot of agentic AI, or rather agents, for some of our go-to-market functions, right? And in some of our operational and financial functions. So this goes beyond serving just our customers, and our customers love to hear that story because they're looking for partners who are actually, like you said, eating their own caviar. We're showing them examples of how and again, just a quick sidebar about NTT, right? We've been a collection of companies. we have been over the years, build capability by acquiring a lot of niche companies, and integration has been a continuous challenge for us. And when we go to customers and tell them we understand, for example, we work with a lot of private equity companies, and we tell them we know what it is to integrate opcos together. We know how to standardize operations and infrastructures together. Those are the kind of stories that gel with our customers because of some of this caviar that we are eating ourselves and showing them the results of.
Yeah, same with worldwide. We like to eat our own caviar as well. We've built our own agentic network assistant because as someone new coming into a company our size, it's hard to find things. Mm-hmm. It's all over the place. And also, since we do a lot of RFPs, an RFP AI assistant. Let's try to simplify things and show that we use it. And also our own internal IT operations team uses LogicMonitor for their operations of the warehouses, factories, and the Advanced Technology Center. So I think that says a lot. If we're using LogicMonitor for our own internal IT, there's something there.
Yeah. Well, we at LogicMonitor use LogicMonitor on LogicMonitor.
No way.
We actually, who'd have thought, right? But we're very much in that drink our own champagne, eat our own caviar kind of club as well. And in fact, at our annual customer conference, that was our sort of main stage demo. Rather than having marketing folks like me come up with some fictitious scenario, we actually did a demo of our own use of LogicMonitor across our infrastructure and our AWS and other kind of global infrastructure to deliver our own platform. And some of the first integration points with Catchpoint and LogicMonitor, it's the Catchpoint team using LogicMonitor to understand their infrastructure, right, and LogicMonitor using Catchpoint. So that's one of the first things as we were starting the integration discussions. It was getting those teams together, and you can even we'll talk about going to our booth in a minute and give the commercial for that. But you can even see some of that at our booth here at reInvent. So your organizations are all in. It sounds like your clients are sort of asking you, like, how do we go quickly? How do we do this now? But what should organizations be thinking about in terms of their readiness for AI ops and agentic AI? Because there's a lot of buzzwords, there's a lot of marketing speak out there. There's a lot of urgency to go quickly and to move quickly. What should organizations be thinking about? And Mike, maybe we'll start with you on that.
Yeah, sure. We do a lot of AI ops workshops, and we try to do a baseline of where they're currently at. Are they still on that crawl stage, still doing reactive monitoring, firefighting? Are they starting to be a little bit more proactive, to prescriptive, to predictive? And because a lot of companies need to first unify the observability, because there's a lot of siloed fiefdoms, all this disparate data, all these huge haystacks of data, and you need to help them to find the right needle at the right time. And that's what AI ops can do for them. It's not a tool, it's a discipline of people, process, culture, and yes, the right technology. So a lot of the things we're working on is that the next operating model. What should our operating model look like to take advantage of things like AI ops and agentic AI? And it's organizational structure-wise, it's skill-wise, and it's also the right technology, and having that unified, integrated end-to-end view of the health of your business.
Yeah, that's great. Abhi, what's your perspective on this? You've already been working with a number of clients around this. What should they be thinking about?
Yeah, and it's very easy to get preachy on this topic, right? Because everybody has an opinion on how AI ops should be adopted. I'll give you live examples of what we are seeing with some of our customers, right? I think the number one challenge we are seeing is that change in mindset and culture, right? That need to continue to hug a system and not rely on an autonomous agent. That need to fundamentally, like Mike said, right, rethink your operating model.
Yeah.
Right? It's a very easy topic to talk on. It's incredibly difficult to execute. In fact, some of the places where we are starting to see success in AIOps, even with LogicMonitor, Andrew, I'll talk about this healthcare IT company. The intent was there from day one, and yet it has taken us 12 months to start building the true FSO capability. And a lot of it had to do with adoption and that change in mindset. Yeah, so that's a huge example. The second thing that, and again, this is something we are learning from customers. Customers are getting very good at setting small, measurable goals. Up until 6 months ago, we used to go to customers saying, where do you see yourself in this journey 5 years from now? Now it's, where are you seeing yourself 6 months from now? And just by bringing those goals into bite-sized, consumable, actionable units, people are starting to see some benefits, and those successes are driving the next wave of initiatives around AIOps. So those are the two things we are seeing in the market and some of our customers.
Yeah, that's great. I would just add into this, I mean, one of the things we've seen from the LogicMonitor perspective is the importance of just getting going, just starting and doing something. So ourselves internally, we have enterprise ChatGPT, and we've actually been recognized by OpenAI as having very high adoption. So we have something like 95% or more of our company that are using our enterprise ChatGPT on a weekly basis. And so that happened because we got access to it and we were encouraged to simply start using it. It's a little bit of a different dynamic when we're talking about IT operations, but what we see and what we encourage clients to do is to start a POV, right? Work with you all in the testbed type environment just to try something and to get going. And some of our clients that have started on that POV have literally within an hour started to see, Edwin making suggestions, reducing noise, and then it starts this flywheel going. So I think the biggest thing, I mean, the culture challenges, the culture shifts are real. We're all only human, but I think the biggest thing I would say is to just try and just to get going. And wherever you are in this, define a use case, define something that you want to try, and just sort of make a start.
Just one thing I'll add, like for organizations like ourselves, whether it's LogicMonitors or the WWTs or MSPs like us, right? It's very important to set the right expectation with some of our customers, right? And we have been guilty of this as well, right? Where we have probably sometimes gone in and oversold the AIOps story, right? In reality, these measurable outcomes kind of help us level set customer expectations on day one. So we're not going and setting a stage with a customer where they're saying, within 6 months, you can eliminate your entire L1 function. That's not going to happen, right? That could be an intent, but there's a path to it. And the technology, frankly, is evolving every day and trying to catch up with that vision.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that are becoming very relevant in client conversations around AIOps.
Yeah, I think definitely starting small, like starting with a showcase MVP, pick one critical user journey or one critical service, and let's, instrument the heck out of it and, bring in the right people, the right skill set, the right technology, and measure the pre and post. And that in itself could help maybe solve the cultural divide and say, hey, this is real. I want to do this now for the next set of applications and services.
Yep. Well, as we start to wind down here, love to put on our kind of prediction crystal ball. It's always dangerous to do because things are moving so quickly. But autonomous IT has been on the agenda as a topic. It's been discussed for decades. It's not a new concept itself, but our sense is that it's closer than ever to realization. And I'd love to hear you guys, if not predicting, then at least like, what do you see coming, in the immediate term time horizon in terms of autonomous IT systems? And so Abhi, love your thoughts on this, and then Mike, would love to hear from you as well.
Yeah, I think all of us in this space have learned our lessons from the cloud rush, right? Decade, 15 years ago, where everything was moved to cloud, lift and shift became the standard pattern. Organizations started to realize the diminishing value of that approach. And since then, the decision making for customers has become very intelligent. In the cloud parlance, we're no longer talking to customers about move to cloud. We're talking to customers about move to the right execution venue for you. That could be a hybrid estate. It could be a completely private air-gapped estate. That same principle is what I expect to apply in AI adoption, right? Customers would want to see value. We talked about POVs, right? There's a couple of areas where we're not seeing the benefits of that POV approach because POVs are translated as science experiments. Saying, yes, you can go deploy an autonomous chatbot and make it language aware. Where is the real ROI for that coming for me, right? So what I expect to see is there will be gradual adoption of this service as software model, where you have an entire end-to-end business process being completely driven by agents. But the path to that is going to have to be built on some very small victory blocks, each with its own measurable value that can stand on its own. So that's something we definitely see.
Mike, what's your perspective on this?
Well, I predicted you guys would acquire Catchpoint.
So you've got
2
a
days
really
ago now.
you got a really good crystal ball.
But definitely just to add on, it's AI is not going to replace everything. People's job, it may change your jobs, but it's a collaboration. It's like I said, a digital colleague that's going to work alongside you with your supervision. And to me, the most practical use, if you've got an AI budget like everyone has had in the last 18 months, the most practical use case is AIOps, or now autonomous IT operations, and bringing that intelligence forward, and stop being reactive and start being firefighting and be fire prevention, and free up your resources. And also the thing I'm seeing change is be a first-class citizen. Observability has a seat at the table. Observability and AIOps by design. Don't wait for something to, a transformation project to build a new data center or network refresh and then say, oh shoot, we're having performance issues. Why? It should be a first-class citizen, but by design.
One thing, if I may add, just very
please.
quickly, right? It's the one area that I think we're going to see a very rapid adoption of agentic AI is, as we say in our world, moving up the layers, right? So traditionally for MSPs, come and show me my infrastructure is healthy, and then we move on to your integration and API layers and your data layers and your application layers. A lot of our customers are moving through those stairs very quickly. So I'll give you an example. There's a customer we started working with about 12 months ago. It's a national insurance company. We started our Agentic AI and AIOps MSP journey with them as just infrastructure management. And within 12 months, they have worked successfully with us to build an entire end-to-end claim processing as a service model. Now, this was a company who was ready to fail fast. They were ready to make some of those investments, but they didn't want to spend too much time in driving the value just from your infrastructure and IT layers. They wanted to very quickly move up the ladder and move into the business layers. So that's the hope that for some of our customers is we find enough customers who are willing to make that leap, willing to fail, and because that's where the future is. I mean, it's the future of AIOps or agentic AI is not in, as we call it, the underground layer, right? The true value is going to come in the business layers.
Yeah,
So that's the hope more than a prediction.
absolutely. And connecting it to the business outcomes and the value is really key. As we start to wrap up here, just sharing you a quick snapshot of the 3-year, multi-year vision that we're orienting around at LogicMonitor. We've shown this to several different audiences over the past few months. One was an audience at our annual analyst council. So this is a closed door session with about 20 of the leading observability IT ops analysts in the space. And their consensus was, all right, looks good, go ahead and do it. Then about a few weeks later, we showed it to our executive advisory board which is about 15 or so execs spanning industries, MSPs, financial services, other industries. They looked at this and they said, can you go faster? And there may be a little bit of selection bias in that because they're obviously a forward-looking group. But what we're hearing across the board and the pressure that's on our product and engineering teams is to basically deliver on this vision, to provide that value to all of you and to partners to provide to your clients and your end customers. We see it as starting with agentic automation, which is here now. We have a partnership with IBM Ansible. So you have Edwin being able to connect into Ansible and trigger those runbooks. We see this moving very quickly into a multi-agent swarming type environment. So replicating, what would happen with humans today, where the database guy talks to the network guys. Well, that's going to be multiple agents swarming together on a problem. And very quickly, we see this going to zero touch and truly to this self-healing type data center model that has been talked about for some time. And it's probably an overused analogy of self-driving cars and autonomous driving. But I do find it a useful one to think with, because some of us have taken a Waymo or used a full self-driving kind of mode. Others have not, and we've just used some of the features of that to enhance our driving experience. And so I think the autonomous IT future is here today. It's happening now, and organizations are going to adopt different elements of it to suit their business needs and their business outcomes. And it's great partners like NTT and Worldwide Technology that are going to make that happen. And there's a lot of pressure, I think, on all of us to deliver this vision very quickly for our respective clients.
Yep, definitely.
Of course, have to give a commercial announcement for us on the AWS Marketplace. LogicMonitor is there. We also partnered with AWS. Edwin AI, our Agentic AIOps product, is available on the Agentic Marketplace with AWS. So that's the kind of commercial announcements. Check us out on the Marketplace. The other commercial announcement as we start to wrap up here is to come by our booth 1467. We have demos there. We've got folks that are able to demo and show you what the platform looks like, show you what Edwin AI looks like in action. You can try it yourselves. We've also got some fun activations. You can become, our booth theme is Mission AI Possible. So you can become a certified AI agent yourself. And we encourage you all to do that. But on a serious note, we also have the Catchpoint team there. So you can actually see Catchpoint in action. You can see Edwin in action. As we start to wrap up here, any kind of final thoughts from our panel here? Parting words, Abhi, we'll start with you.
I think it's very encouraging what we're seeing in the market with this partnership. And our goal, I think one thing where we are aligned is we're aligned on the ambition. We are aligned on the speed. We are starting to align on the technology and how what LogicMonitor brings to the table fits seamlessly into what some of our core offerings around the MSP space are. We've got to be quick. We've got to put pressure on each other. We're going to go and make commitments to customers that may not be completely feasible on day one, but I think that's where growth comes from, right? So I'm personally very excited with this partnership and what we're taking together to the market. It's a very strong story, and I just hope for over the next 12 months we can come back here and make some announcements on what we have been able to drive as value for customers.
That's great. Mike, you've got the countdown clock. You've got a minute and a half.
2 minute
parting words of wisdom here, Mike.
Don't be afraid to lean in. Even if it's just a consultation advisement, we're meant to, we want to give you our perspective on the industry, and just a little announcement. By the end of this month, we're going to have Edwin AI fully launched in our Advanced Technology Center.
It's great.
So you could kick the tires and have a launchable lab and see how it integrates with all the other OEMs that are in everyone's environment.
And we'll work on Catchpoint next, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's where we go next. But no, that's a great note. And I think one of the things we've talked about is there's multiple pathways in, right? So there's there's your test bed environment, there's the POV route, there's the traditional demo type route, but like the overall message is to get going, right? Work with partners, talk with LogicMonitor. There no time like the present to get started and to move quickly. So
absolutely.
with that, I think we will wrap up. And thank you so much, Abi, Mike. Really appreciate your perspectives on this world that we're in. Please do come by the LogicMonitor booth. Worldwide Technologies has got a booth as well, so you can go to the WWT booth. Also, we will be around afterwards if folks want to ask us any individual questions or come find us at the booths. And again, thank you, Abi. Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.